Hey, my friends, welcome back. You've tuned in to lecture 4.4, which is entitled Mammalian Mating Systems and Parental Investment. So in this lecture, I'll be describing the evolution of mammalian mating systems from monogamy, like we see in the golden lion tamarins here on the left, to polygyny, like we see in the elephant seals. That's the big male, the bull there in the center with his harem of females. To polyandry, which is sometimes observed in the African wild dogs. Further, I'll discuss the different ways by which both male and female mammals invest in their offspring. So this lecture aligns with chapter 22 in your textbook, which is entitled Sexual Selection, Parental Care, and Mating Systems. Although in this lecture, we're only going to cover the sections entitled Parental Investment and Mating Systems, you may skip for now the sections entitled Anisogamy and Competition for Males, as well as Sexual Selection. I'll cover those topics in Module 7 when we explore the ungulates. So classifications of mating systems have traditionally been based on the extent to which males and females will bond during the reproductive or breeding season. As such, monogamy, mono means one, so that's an association between just one male and one female during the breeding season, and this includes an exclusive mating relationship between the pair members. They're only going to mate with one another, as exhibited by the male and female gray wolf here on the bottom left in this monogamous pair bond. Polygamy is an umbrella term, and that's going to capture all of the different multiple mating, non-monogamous mating systems that we observe in mammals, including polygyny, so poly meaning multiple, gyny meaning females. This is one male and two or more females, as we saw with the elephant seals on the last slide, and as demonstrated by the Rocky Mountain elk on the bottom right. This is a bull elk, a branch antlered bull, so he's reproductively mature, and his harem of cows. It's also going to include the opposite relationship, so polyandry is one female with multiple males. And then lastly, we have promiscuity. So this refers to an absence of any prolonged association between males and females, and there's multiple matings by one or both of the sexes in promiscuous species. Right out of the gate, I want you to recognize that ecological factors are certainly going to play a role in impacting the evolution of differing strategies with respect to mating. So, for example, in the open plains, in places like the American West or the Serengeti, where large predators are certainly present and food is widely distributed across vast expanses, and then when resources do occur, they're clumped, as indicated by these gray circles from this figure that I cropped from your book. And then the blue hexagons represent the species that are clustered around those resources, social species, so grazing mammals such as ungulates like the wildebeest, as well as omnivorous primates are going to cluster around those resources in social groups, and therefore they're going to mate with several members of the opposite sex. That approach is likely advantageous for both males and females living in social groups clustered around resources. Whereas species living in densely forested areas, like marmosets living in the Amazon rainforest, in places like the Amazon, the resource base is going to be much richer, and resources are going to be more evenly distributed, as indicated by this figure. Not to mention, communication in a dense tropical rainforest is really difficult across long distances just because of all the vegetation. So therefore, small family units are going to be advantageous, and monogamy is going to be more common. In short, the spatial distribution of resources, not just food, but also nest sites and the mates themselves, can influence the type of mating system that evolves in mammalian lineages. In monogamous systems, we now know that's one male and one female that are bonded together. Neither the male nor the female is able to monopolize more copulations than their mate because they're exclusive with one another. Monogamy is actually relatively rare in mammals. So there's a recent phylogenetic analysis of more than 2,500 mammalian species. It's reported by Lucas and Clutton-Brock. So this is a very famous name in ecology that you'll see quite frequently. The authors report that approximately 9% of mammals are monogamous. And they conclude that monogamy has independently arisen about 61 times from the ancestral condition, which we presume is a solitary state. So, what are the fitness consequences of only having one mate? Well, sometimes monogamy is simply facultative or optional. So it occurs when mammal densities are low and the home range of a male simply overlaps with that of only a single female, resulting in this monogamous pair bond. But obligate monogamy, that's going to occur when investment from the male is absolutely necessary for the offspring to survive, as is the case in most of the larger canines, like the jackals that I showed you on the last slide, as well as these red foxes. So in short, oftentimes there's no opportunity to monopolize multiple mates. Thus, the male is going to benefit from remaining with its initial mate and helping to raise the offspring, helping to raise those pups. So how else might monogamy contribute to evolutionary fitness in some of these mammalian lineages? Well, for one, the formation of long-term monogamous pair bonds may be advantageous because once bonded, individuals now spend less time looking for a new mate each reproductive cycle. Secondly, experienced parents, ones that have worked together before at raising offspring, they likely become better at it, i.e., practice makes perfect. Having that stable partner might also lower both predation risk as well as the risk of infanticide. So infanticide, that's the murder of infants by conspecifics. So other members of the troop or other lions that come in and take over the pride. So we see this sometimes infanticide in social species. On its own, predation risk may drive some smaller species to live in small social units anyways and behave secretly to minimize the risk of being eaten. So these small family groups that may primarily be driven by predation risk, they're going to then reinforce monogamy as seen in these silver marmosets. So despite being relatively rare, monogamy is reported in most mammalian orders. However, the bulk of the mammalian examples come from primates. About 29%, or 1 out of 3 extant species of primates, is monogamous. And about 16% of the order Carnivora. Among primates, It's primarily those forest-dwelling marmosets, like this common marmoset here, and tamarins. They're all monogamous, and the males care for the young in the form of carrying the infants around, as seen here. So there's disagreement about the evolutionary causes of monogamy in primates, with some arguing that males bond with a single female primarily to reduce infanticide by other males. So they're there bonded, protecting their offspring from infanticide, while other researchers make the argument that it's driven more by the fact that females tend to be so widely dispersed that males simply can't monopolize more than one female at a time. As previously mentioned, we observe monogamy in many of the larger carnivores, especially in the Canidae family. So jackals, foxes, and wolves, they're nearly all monogamous. Males in these canid species, they're going to play important roles, feeding, defending, and socializing those offspring. Among the rodents, monogamy has been demonstrated in marmots and beavers, as demonstrated by this lovely couple here, as well as some mice and voles, which brings us to this short and very adorable clip entitled "The Monogamous Love Life of the Prairie Vole." So please take a moment and check that out. Recall that polygamy is an umbrella term that includes all of those multiple mating, non-monogamous systems. In polygynous systems, individual males monopolize more than one female. So poly means many, and gen, G-Y-N, is Greek for wife or woman. So several forms of polygyny have been described in mammals, including resource defense polygyny, which, as the name suggests, arises as males defend areas containing feeding or nesting sites, important resources that are critical for reproduction. And so a female's mate choice is going to be influenced by the quality of his territory. Territories that vary sufficiently in quality may cross what's called the polygyny threshold. This is the point at which a female may do better to join a harem, to join an already mated male that possesses a really sweet, bountiful territory, than she would do to select an unmated male, but one that has a poor quality territory. So that's the polygyny threshold. Another shade of polygyny is termed female defense polygyny. So this may occur when females are gregarious, meaning they're social for reasons unrelated to reproduction. So perhaps females herd together for protection against predators, or they gather around resources such as food, or, as is the case with these female elephant seals, they're clustering at nesting sites. In many species of sea lions and seals, the females are going to haul out onto land to give birth, and then they're going to mate soon after giving birth. The females are gregarious. They cluster in these spots because there's a limited number of these sites that are suitable haul-out sites. The males then are going to monopolize the females while they're at this site for breeding. So some of these males are going to monopolize females, and they are going to exclude other males from these breeding groups altogether. This makes for intense intrasexual competition among males, and as is the case in these elephant seals, extreme sexual size dimorphism. So male elephant seals can weigh 4,500 pounds compared to females weighing in at only 1,300 pounds. So with the elephant seals, typically less than 1/3 of the males are even going to copulate at all, and the top 5 males at these haul-out sites do at least 50% of the copulating. So there's a very uneven distribution in terms of mating success. The males make no investment in the offspring beyond their sperm, and so they probably have no way of knowing which young are their own, because these pups are born a year after copulation. If males are not involved in parental care and they have little opportunity to control resources or mates, then male dominance polygyny may evolve. So when female movements or concentration areas are predictable in time and space, the males may also concentrate in these areas, and then the males collectively pool their advertising and their courtship signals. Females then are going to select from a group of males that are on display. So these areas where the males congregate and display, they're called leks. If you've taken an ornithology class, you may have learned about sage grouse leks. Leks don't contain resources like food or nesting sites. They are purely display sites for mate choice and then copulation. Females, like this African topi, select a mate, copulate, and then leave the area and rear their young on their own. So at these leks, often older or more dominant males are going to occupy the preferred little mini territories, the preferred spaces that have the most attractive displays, and thus these older males in the prime positions are going to do most of the copulating. So again, we see this uneven distribution of mating success. I just had to show you a picture of these guys. So this is a male hammerheaded fruit bat. So aptly named, huh? They're from Central and Western Africa, and these hammer-headed fruit bats are going to display at leks along riverbanks. So each of the males' little spatial display areas, little territories, is about 10 meters apart. And the males emit a loud clanking noise to attract females. It must sound pretty alluring to the ladies. Once chosen, a male copulates with the female and then resumes calling immediately, hoping for another opportunity. Some males, for whatever reason, have much higher success rates than other males at attracting females. In 1 year, 6% of the males achieved 79% of the copulations. So there is something about your territory space and your call that is appealing to the opposite sex, to the female fruit bats. That's advertising your inherent fitness. As you might predict, hammer-headed fruit bats show extreme sexual dimorphism. The males are nearly twice the size of females, and then each male, as you can see, has this huge muzzle that ends in these flaring lips. And then they have these really large larynxes, which are associated with making that clanking song to attract those females. In the absence of territory or female dominance, we see another case of polygyny called Scramble Polygyny. So in Scramble Polygyny, males are going to try and obtain as many copulations as they can, whenever and wherever they can. So when females are widely dispersed across the landscape, as is the case with our very own North American red squirrel, so these guys are territorial, the males have to leave their own territories and search out mates. The home ranges of males, as you might predict, were nearly 10 times larger during the breeding season as they're off scrambling about looking for females. And search effort, home range size during breeding season was positively related to both mating success and reproductive successes of males, i.e., the broader your search, the more mates that you encounter. In polyandrous mating systems, now it's the female that's going to monopolize more than one male. In most mammal species, females obviously provide the bulk of the parental care, with males typically seeking out as many new mates as possible and investing little in their offspring. This isn't always the case, but in general. In birds, we see true polyandry. We see role reversal with large females competing for smaller males. We see instances of female ornamentation via intersexual selection. We see male parental care and female dispersal in search of mating opportunities. So that's in birds. The closest case to this in mammals is the species shown here, the African wild dogs, that although they're mainly monogamous, they sometimes exhibit polyandry, as females will occasionally mate with several males. In African wild dogs, as we would predict, males provide extensive care for the pups, and females are primarily the dispersing sex. So that's different than in gray wolves. At about 2.5 years of age, female African wild dogs, they're the ones that leave their natal packs, their birth packs, and join other packs that have few or no females. In many species of mammals, females will mate with more than one male, and multiple paternity, even within litters, is quite common. So such systems are usually referred to not as polyandrous, but as promiscuous, so promiscuity. That's because the males are also mating with multiple females. And because in promiscuous systems, males provide little or no care of offspring, and there are no lasting bonds that exist between partners. So although the example species I have on the slide here doesn't totally align with the textbook definition of promiscuity, in that male bonobos certainly do provide paternal care, and bonobos certainly form lasting social bonds. So this is our closest relative, the pygmy chimpanzee or the bonobo. And I put it here because this ape is renowned for its promiscuity. So bonobos are a hypersexual ape. Sex in bonobos has evolved into a bargaining tool that is used to trade for prized fruits Sex is used to assuage disputes within the troop, as well as to communicate social relationships. It's fascinating stuff. If you've ever read Franz de Waal, you should definitely check him out. He's an amazing primatologist. For now, I'd like for you to take the 2 minutes and learn about how environments north and south of the Congo River likely shaped the social behavior in aggressive territorial chimpanzees that you're probably more familiar with to the north, and our free-loving bonobos here in the south, the peace and love ape. Although most animals provide no care for their offspring, we now know that one of those defining characteristics of the class Mammalia is that one or both parents are going to provide at least some care for their offspring. Remember, way back to Module 1. The extent of that parental care obviously varies widely between both the sexes and certainly across different mammalian species. Parental care can also take on many forms, but all female mammals provide prenatal care in the form of gestation and lactation, which we covered in reproduction. Parental care in primates can last several years. Up to 25% of the offspring's lifespan can be cared for by their parents, whereas parental care in some rodents and hares may only last for a few weeks. So there's a lot of variability. Herein, we're going to define parental investment following Trivers, 1972, as any behavior that increases the offspring's chances of survival, and that comes at a cost of the parent's ability to rear future offspring. So a male African lion protecting his own cubs from other male lions is a form of parental investment. So he's benefiting from this behavior, but it's also costing him in opportunity cost. He's losing out when he could be mating with other females, when he's spending time protecting his cubs. All right, so we'll begin with maternal investment because, as my daughter says, girls rule and boys drool. So in 1972, Trivers makes the argument that species that practice internal fertilization, these are species in which sperm competition could take place. The male actually has no way of actually knowing whether his sperm is the sperm that fertilized the egg. He might therefore be inclined to desert the females with which he has copulated and go and seek additional mating opportunities. But from a female perspective, she is certain of her genetic relationship to the offspring. So it follows then that she is going to invest more in her current offspring, starting really from the very beginning with that energetically expensive egg. You remember, eggs are expensive and sperm are cheap. She's also going to invest heavily in gestation and lactation, as shown here by this juvenile sea otter that's suckling on mom. So if males can never be absolutely certain that the offspring is theirs, why is it that about 1 out of every 10 mammalian species is one in which the father provides paternal care? We get care from the father. Well, from an evolutionary perspective, Males are expected to provide care for their young when the fitness benefits of their investment in that current offspring outweighs the lost opportunity costs that accrue from not seeking additional mates. So it follows that species with altricial young, undeveloped young that need care, and systems in which alternative mating opportunities are limited, maybe few and far between. Those systems with altricial young and limited mating opportunities, they should favor the evolution of paternal care. And that's exactly what we see in this primate species, the male silverback gorilla. Although paternal care in mammals in general is relatively uncommon, it occurs in a diversity of forms and extents in some primates, carnivores, and rodents. Paternal care is very pronounced in teddy monkeys, as shown here. They're going to live in family units consisting of an adult pair and 2 to 4 young. Each year, females give birth to a single infant, but it's the dads, it's the males that carry the infants more than the females. In fact, dad's going to carry the baby around 90% of the time. It's pretty remarkable. And infant teddy monkeys are actually going to develop stronger bonds with their fathers than their mothers. So the teddy monkey definitely gets the Dad of the Year award. As a group, canids, such as the gray wolf you see here, silver-backed jackals, they are characterized by prolonged dependency of the young on their parents. So extensive parental care in canid species, as well as felids. So in these predators, much effort is spent searching for prey. And in some species, like the wolf, like I've discussed, cooperation is needed to make the kill oftentimes. Having a group of wolves is going to allow them access to larger and more dangerous prey. However, during this prolonged developmental period, the pups are going to benefit from considerable learning by watching, by observing mom and dad and other pack mates, and learning through play. Before I let you go, I just have to share this. This is so cool. So there is solid evidence that adult wild meerkats are going to teach prey handling skills to their pups by providing them with opportunities to interact with their live arthropod prey. So, for example, the parent might catch a scorpion and then incapacitate it, rip off the legs and the stinger, and then give it to the pups to allow them to practice grabbing it and killing it. But what's truly remarkable is, as the pups age and they become more skilled, the parents are then going to up the ante. They're going to adjust their efforts. They're going to adjust the difficulty level. So maybe they leave all the legs on the scorpions and the pinchers, in later rounds. So they are truly teaching their young how to hunt. Really good example of parental investment. And I thought I would bring this lecture to a close with footage from a very lucky videographer who got to record the antics of Arctic wolf pups at play. So do yourself a favor and relax with these wolf pups. It'll make you laugh. Please tune in next time for the last lecture in Module 4, 4.5. It's on primates, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. Many thanks for your attention, and I'll see you next time.